Physically, now I don't know what the truth is, but all these reports are that he has 2 fractured orbitals and a broken nose. Just that alone, just the orbitals alone, like anytime you've got eye injuries, like anything severe with your eyes, long-term consequences vary.
It's psychological.
Absolutely.
And your body heals.
And physical.
The body is resilient.
Like, I'm telling you,
broken bones make stronger bones. Like that is his orbital bones will be stronger.
It depends on where, though, Justin. The orbital bone, I had my orbital broken, and for 6 months I would do this and my tooth would move, and it's right where my sinus cavity is. You remember when you hit me with the spinning elbow?
Your tooth would move,
dude.
When you push
right
on
here,
your cheek,
and my tooth would move.
Oh, God.
I still feel the soft spot, but this is a very weak area where your sinus cavity is. And you broke both orbitals and the nose.
After a brutal fight, one of the biggest questions in mixed martial arts is never just who won or lost. It's what happens next. The physical damage eventually heals, but does the fighter ever truly come back the same? That's become one of the biggest talking points surrounding Ilia Topuria after his devastating defeat to Justin Gaethje, with fans throughout the MMA world debating whether this setback will ultimately make him a better fighter or permanently change the way he competes. It's a discussion that's come up countless times throughout UFC history, because we've seen both outcomes. Some fighters suffer the toughest loss of their careers before returning stronger, smarter, and more complete than ever.
And that's when he reacted, and he must have said no more.
I mean, he wanted to continue to fight, let the guy go. So he sits in the corner, tells his cornerman he can't see. And then he's got the doctor doing the eye test, and the doctor's saying no. It's like, oh, this fight's fucking over. But then they let him continue. But I don't know who threw in the towel in the 4th. It's almost like Goddard said, the fight's fucking over.
No, his brother said we're going to keep fighting, and then he looked into his brother's eyes, and then he waved it off.
Ilia literally could have walked off and been champ. If Ilia, when he hit him with that liver shot and Gaethje kind of went down, if he would have walked off, the ref would have stopped that fight. If you get hit with those liver shots and you kind of cramp up, you can't just get up. You kind of just are there for a sec. So if he walked off and Gaethje's just laying there, maybe the ref tries to stand him up or whatever, but...
While others are never quite able to rediscover the confidence and momentum that made them special in the first place. That's why so many people are paying close attention to Topuria's recovery.
And I'm not saying he cheated or anything. I'm just saying, I guarantee you don't want to go into battle thinking, had this huge fight with my wife. You don't want any of those thoughts in your head before a fight.
I mean, Ilia Topuria, in previous fights, you could tell he always had like his family, his wife, his kids. I just watched a documentary that came out on Ilia Topuria, and he was just talking about how much he loved his girl. And that could have been his fault that they got a divorce. I wonder how much that had to do with everything.
It had everything to do with everything. It's all connected.
Yeah, Ilia's in the hospital. He's busted up. You know, I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has broken orbital. I don't know that's not a fact, but I'm just assuming. And my plans for him are to go home and rest and recover and take his time. And you know, tonight was a rough night for him. I just want to make sure he's healthy and good and not even thinking about him fighting again. Just want him to go home and relax and rest and heal.
Because the next chapter of his career could end up defining his entire legacy. Looking back at the fight itself, many analysts believe Gaethje's experience proved to be the deciding factor. Rather than allowing Topuria to dictate the pace, he gradually forced him into uncomfortable exchanges, constantly applying pressure and creating the kind of fight that's made him one of the most dangerous veterans in the sport.
I think we just witnessed probably the greatest fight of this year. Ilia Topuria taking on Justin Gaethje. Now I'm gonna start off right here. I was one who picked against Justin Gaethje. When you look at Justin Gaethje's previous fights, when he's fought Dustin Poirier, when he's fought Charles Oliveira, when he's fought Khabib Nurmagomedov, when he's fought Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje gets dropped. He gets dropped and he gets finished. I mean, that's something that we've seen time and time again in his career. And what would make no different when he's fighting a guy like Ilia Topuria, where Ilia Topuria, what he does is he puts people to sleep. Max Holloway puts him to sleep. Charles Oliveira puts him to sleep. Alex Volkanovski got put to sleep. And you guys might hate me for this, but the best thing Justin Gaethje can do is retire. He should retire on this amazing victory against a legend like Ilia Topuria. I mean, I keep saying Ilia Topuria's a legend. He's still young in his career, but he's a phenomenal athlete. You retire on top. You save your brain cells. You ride off in a sunset. You beat one of the best athletes. You gave him his first fucking defeat right away with the White House belt and the undisputed lightweight championship belt.
As the contest wore on, the damage accumulated, and by the final bell, it was clear Topuria had been through one of the toughest nights of his professional career. Now the focus shifts away from fight night and onto recovery. Injuries around the face are never just about waiting for swelling to disappear. Fighters have to regain confidence, return to sparring, trust their reactions again, and rebuild the rhythm that allows them to compete against the very best in the world.
Ilia comes out, he's wandering into jabs like he's never boxed a day in his life. Generational aura loss for Ilia Topuria. The amount of energy and just absolute confidence that he was going to go out there and Justin Gaethje and KO Justin Gaethje in round 1 that he had going into this fight, for it to be turned upside down almost immediately in round 1 while Justin Gaethje is on the back foot, stinging Ilia Topuria with jabs. Opened uppercut on his eye. We noticed that on the fight week build-up when they did the ESPN MMA interview. He had stitches on his eye. Justin Gaethje immediately opens that up with his jab. Ilia Topuria is wandering in, high and tight guard, wandering forwards into Justin Gaethje, and just getting stung by jabs non-stop.
It's a process that can't be rushed, especially when you're expected to return against elite opposition. The encouraging sign for Topuria supporters is his mentality. Throughout his career, he's built a reputation on confidence, self-belief, and refusing to back away from challenges.
Skill set in there, you know, said probably the second best guy you prepared for outside of Khabib. But now that you're through Ilia, was he as good as you thought he was? Was he better than you thought he was? Just can you talk about what you experienced in there with him?
I mean, he's very good. I mean, my liver still hurts right now. Those body shots were crazy. I mean, he was really, really fast, but you know, when he didn't get the finish at the end of the second round, I think it really took his spirit. And, you know, again, I said it in the press conference leading up. I was like, he really backed himself into a corner saying he's going to be so dominant. And I said it. When we go to the second round, you're going to be like, what the f-? When we go to the third round, you're going to be like, what the f-? You know, that's what I did tonight.
Did you feel he was broken after he didn't get that finish?
I never felt he was broken because he was so dangerous at the whole time.
Wow, that guy's crazy. Man, look at that
dude. Justin Gaethje, the biggest underdog on the card. Ilia Topuria, the new sensation, the new superstar of the sport, just got pieced up, demolished, and stopped by the doctor at the end of round 4. Justin Gaethje, the highlight, gets it done.
That's why many people believe this defeat could eventually become one of the most important moments of his career. Sometimes a loss exposes weaknesses that years of winning never reveal, giving a fighter the opportunity to evolve in ways that simply weren't possible before. Of course, the biggest question now is what happens when he finally returns. Does the UFC book an immediate top contender? Does a rivalry with Paddy Pimblett become the perfect comeback fight?
Undisputed champion, you deserve it after your career, but now I want that rematch. I am going to finish BSD and I want that rematch with Justin Gaethje for the undisputed title. I told you, didn't I? It was fate. Justin Gaethje, man, that's off to you. You deserve it for the fucking heavy career you've had. You absolutely deserve it, lad. Everyone gave me shit for getting beat by him. What now? What now, lad? Thought he was finished, thought he was 38, thought he was over the hill, and then he's just beat you. Greatest fighter of all time, Ilia Topuria. You fucking gang of gobshite. I went 5 with him. I took every fucking shot that he threw at me and kept walking forward. This little bitch has just quit after 4 rounds. That's what this little bitch has just done. Look at him, sat on his stool. I kept fucking walking forward at Gaethje for 5 rounds and didn't have an ounce of quit in me because I'm a proper fighter.
Ilia loses to Justin. What did you think of the fight?
When I saw that, I couldn't believe, to be honest. And yeah, I was happy.
So what did you think about how it actually played out?
He felt so confident that, like, I'm going there and knock him out.
When you take damage like this, you're never gonna be same. Never, ever. You know, he take too much damage, you know. You see how he tap, how he give up end of the five round? He go like this.
I don't often make predictions. I don't. But I said multiple times sitting in this chair, talking to that camera or to a guest, that I question why the UFC would have an event which was being billed as a celebration of America and book a main event in which an American was going to be knocked out in the main event. I said it. And so I have to eat crow. I have to apologize to Justin Gaethje. This is the business that we're in. You make picks, you pick a side. Justin Gaethje, what he did on Sunday is the highlight of his career, obviously, and apropos given the fact that he is nicknamed the highlight.
Or does Topuria take extra time away, rebuild completely, and return only when he believes he's capable of competing at championship level once again? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. Interest in Ilia Topuria hasn't disappeared because of one difficult night. If anything, the MMA world is even more invested in seeing how he responds. Great fighters are remembered for their victories, but they're often defined by how they handle adversity. And the next time Topuria walks toward the octagon, fans won't just be watching to see if he wins. They'll be watching to see what kind of fighter those difficult lessons have created.
I knew that was going to happen to him. Walking forward with the hands down on the opening bell, you're going to get walloped.
People saying I'm juiced, what a compliment. People saying I got bricks in my fucking gloves, what a compliment.
Do you see the picture, the image? There's like rocks in his hands.
What a compliment.
Have they not watched any of his fights?
As ambitious as you are, you can never make everybody happy.
No. That's why it's hard to be a champion.
Which sucks.
The pressure.
You know for a fact, you do not ever as a fighter say, I cannot see. It's over.
Right.
And he was counting on that. He said he had already stated it. He didn't need to say it again. I stopped him twice. that night. There's no doubt about it.
What makes this story even more fascinating is that one defeat has suddenly created far more questions than answers. Before this fight, so many people looked at Ilia Topuria as a fighter who seemed almost unstoppable, somebody whose confidence, pressure, and finishing ability made him one of the most dangerous names in the sport. Now, for the first time in a long time, people aren't asking how far he can go. They're asking how he responds when everything doesn't go according to plan. That's often where great careers are truly defined. Winning builds confidence, but adversity builds complete fighters. Throughout UFC history, some of the greatest champions have spoken about learning more from one difficult defeat than they ever did from years of victory. A loss forces you to slow down, reevaluate your approach, and look honestly at parts of your game that perhaps didn't receive enough attention while everything was going well. That's why many coaches believe setbacks can sometimes become the beginning of a fighter's greatest improvements rather than the end of their success. Looking back at the Gaethje fight, one of the biggest talking points has been the pace. Justin Gaethje has built an entire career around dragging elite opponents into uncomfortable exchanges, refusing to give them time to settle, and making every second inside the cage physically demanding. That's exactly what appeared to happen here. Rather than allowing Topuria to dictate the rhythm, Gaethje gradually forced the fight onto his own terms, and once that momentum started shifting, it became increasingly difficult to wrestle it back. That's why so many people are now debating what adjustments Topuria makes next. Does he become more patient? Does he rely less on constantly pressing forward? Does he add new wrinkles to his striking and defensive movement? Or does he stay true to the aggressive style that brought him so much success in the first place?
Ilia has some dense-ass bones because I could have sworn that was broken. That's amazing. So if what we're assuming is correct, he's not going to need surgery. He's going to be able to heal up a lot faster and get in. He's not going to have this 6-week period where he can't, be in the gym doing anything because he had that surgery. Now he can still do his cardio. He can probably do pad work soon, hit the bag, jump rope, and I don't know about any contact. Even if it's light drilling, I wouldn't recommend that. For him to fight December, it's 6 months. I don't like to rush young guys like that. I don't like to get a superstar, and when they have some trials and tribulations, push them in there too fast. Me personally, if I was his coach or manager, I would not put him in there this year. I'd let him just kind of like get focused, get recharged, get recovered, and I know.
Those are the conversations already happening throughout the MMA world, because everybody understands that elite fighters rarely stand still. They're constantly evolving, constantly adapting, and constantly looking for small improvements that could make the difference the next time they compete. There's also the mental side of recovery, something fans don't always appreciate. Physical injuries heal with time, but rebuilding confidence after suffering the toughest night of your career is an entirely different challenge. Every fighter eventually reaches a moment where they have to prove something to themselves again. They have to trust their reactions, trust their preparation, and step back into the octagon believing they can perform at the highest level despite everything that's happened before. For many champions, that moment becomes the turning point.
Appropriately.
That's why writing Topuria off would probably be a mistake. Combat sports history is full of fighters who looked finished after one painful defeat, only to return months later looking sharper, calmer, and more complete than ever before. The experience itself changes them. It gives them a different perspective, a different level of maturity, and a deeper understanding of what it really takes to stay at the top. Of course, the division won't stand still while he recovers. New contenders will emerge, fresh rivalries will develop, and the UFC will continue moving forward. That only increases the importance of Topuria's eventual return, because whoever he faces next will likely shape the direction of the entire division. Whether it's another top contender, a rising challenger, or a long-awaited grudge match, the pressure will be enormous.
A fight should be stopped the moment your athlete can no longer win, not the moment the crowd ceases to be satisfied and/or entertained. And there are promoters, some very respected, where that is what they want. If that athlete can continue, if he's willing to show the heart or grit, if the crowd is continuing to cheer, this is what I paid for and let it go. I'm just sharing with you. I'm a prude. I don't believe in that. But I'm disclosing my metric and my bar for you because Ilia Topuria could still win that fight. Mark Goddard, I just think he's the best. I just think that Mark Goddard has served this sport so well. I think this sport is in a better place because of him. Is there a compliment bigger you could give? He wouldn't accept that. If he heard me say, "Chael, that's not true," but I believe it is. I believe that Mark Goddard has done such a good job. He's the guy people want. When people get in the back and they see Mark Goddard, because they know they're going to be safe. You will not get injured on Mark Goddard's watch.
Because everybody will want to know the same thing. Was this simply one bad night? Or was it the moment that forced Ilia Topuria to become an even better fighter? Right now, nobody can answer that question. But if there's one thing MMA has taught us over the years, it's that the most memorable comeback stories often begin immediately after the toughest setbacks. That's exactly why so many fans remain invested in Topuria's journey. Because the next time he walks toward that cage, the focus won't just be on the result. It'll be on whether this difficult chapter became the foundation for an even greater one.